A YouTuber named Area Awesomeness claims these pet leeches are for more than just a show. Apparently they can help treat things, but the only way to experience these supposed benefits is by letting a leech latch on to you. And believe it or not, these ones are only about a year old and not even full size. Adults can grow up to 2 feet in length and would pack an even bigger bite. With this in mind, the whole situation stresses me out too much to try it, but that's just my opinion. Tell me what you think about this part.
They can either be fed, I guess, human blood, animal blood, whatever you prefer.
And if you would be brave enough to try. A weird security video from southeastern Nigeria has been freaking people out since October of 2019. Animals seem to disappear in this haunted alleyway, and then it happens to someone who they've long suspected of being a witch. I think these security guards were bored and playing a joke. Notice how the yellow playback bar suddenly skips ahead whenever something disappears. It's pretty obvious that some editing has occurred, so my final analysis is no, this video is not real. What do you think though? A YouTuber named Hugo Blog is curiously poking around an old abandoned mansion with his friends in Houston as they search for nothing in particular. The crumbling estate looks like it could fall on their heads at any minute, but they bravely keep going in as deep as they dare. I don't speak any Spanish, but I can tell by their voices that they get weirded out by something and decide to leave. Later, they are all reviewing the video of their exploration, along with some digital pictures, when one still shot in particular grabs their attention. Can you see the silhouette of a girl peering at them through the railing? I definitely can. Another YouTuber named Luis Gomez says that he went there too, and that his camera picked up 2 children standing in a doorway looking at him, much like the photo you just saw. But this story gets much weirder than that. There's a bunch of text at the end of the video that says someone met their end in the house. Nobody was able to find the person responsible. I wasn't sure if I believed this story, so I did some Googling and I managed to find the exact same text on a Houston police blotter. The police gave an address, and when I put it into Google Maps, it took me back to the house in the video. In other words, the story is real and someone really did meet their end at this location. Nobody knows why. Needless to say, Hugo Blog has not been back since. If you suffer from arachnophobia, you definitely would want to keep your lights on for this one. What at first looks like your ordinary everyday bramble of twigs amidst some rocks is not what it seems. With a stick, Connor Long, the video's creator, disturbs the nest, the many legs of which start to move. Published in July of 2011, Long came upon this daddy longlegs nest near Santa Barbara in Los Padres National Forest. Long notes that research into this clustering behavior came up short, as it isn't understood why they do this, whether it's for mating or moisture conservation during the hot summer months or some other reason. Whatever the basis for this behavior, one thing's for sure, don't step on this bramble or you may just pass away of fear. This clip shows a normal psychedelic filter, the electric color surrounding the girl in frame. She then turns her camera to span the room. The filter follows for a moment before becoming absent from the shot as the room is empty. Or is it? The person detecting filter appears to detect someone in the chair sitting opposite. No one is there, and yet the silhouette of a human form starts to appear in the shot in shocking black and white. It seems to be seated in the chair. The girl turns the filter back to her face, and the shocking figure follows, blending into the psychedelic filter colors around her again. Redditor Hydra Wrench 97 is both tentative in jumping to the paranormal and rightly creeped out. She writes, "Usually these Snapchat filter ghost clips are glitching and basically the camera falling. for pareidolia, but this one is weird. Might just be the spookiest glitch ever, but it is very weird and would scare me if that was my living room. Maybe it sees something we don't. There are some things that make you so nervous you can never unsee them. They remain on the backs of your eyelids when you go to sleep at night. This entry will make you stay out of the forest. Redditor Film Direction wrote, "Aw man, Chills is gonna be all over this in his next video." And he's right, I am. Posted by Rabbit14k, this video of a so-called forest guard was captured in India. The clip shows a vehicle driving at night down a dirt road surrounded by forest. It must be drizzling, as the windshield wipers are moving. Then up ahead in the middle of the road is a figure in white flowing robes. The figure's head is covered, and when we never see its face, as the vehicle backs up, the figure walks slowly and strangely off the path and into the trees. As the vehicle continues to reverse, it disappears, swallowed by the darkness. According to Redditor Vixen Ross, this might be a holy man or woman, as the Sri Sararda Devi wears similar robes to these worn by our forest guard. Others note that it's a bit on the dark side for a midnight stroll, even for a holy man. Did this video make the hair on your legs stand up? Did it give you chills? Did it make your nose start running? And what do you think? Is this human or a demon? While crossing a bridge on a foggy night, this motorist witnessed a live vanishing act. Posted to TikTok, a biker is seen up ahead. The motorist looks right and then left while crossing the bridge. The biker is still in front of him, but he is getting more and more lost in the fog, and then suddenly the biker disappears altogether, even as the fog clears up ahead. Where did he go? Wherever he went, humans were clearly not meant to see it.
Negeri di atas awan.
A YouTuber named Rata Negra Mago is positive that his house is haunted, and he claims to have the evidence to back it up. The kid's toy moves across the table and I don't see a string. Then a bottle falls off the table. There are no shadows coming from the other room when it happens. No one is around. And right before it happens, this strange traveling light appears. Looks paranormal to me. 4 days later, he catches this object moving all by itself. This one I find a little harder to believe because I feel like it's definitely in their grandma's line of sight. I mean, how could you miss a bright green reflective bag doing 360s for almost a full minute is beyond me. She must have been fully absorbed in her show. I have my doubts about this one, but at the same time I don't know how they're doing it, so maybe it's real. This final video taken almost a year later is perhaps the oddest of all. This hanging ornament begins moving in place with nothing to help get it started. Yes, it's by an open window, but there's no wind. The leaves on this plant don't move, and neither does this towel hanging over a chair. And it's not the air conditioner either, because this connected red string doesn't move at all. And if you're still not convinced, take a listen. At 1 minute and 20 seconds, this phantom light reflects across the stereo glass, though to be fair, it could just be a member of the family. What's this strange light doing here? That's what Michael Oishi wants to know, and so far no one has been able to help him. I personally think this looks like a high-powered spotlight because I see a smaller light artifact that seems to generally correspond with its movements, indicating that this is actually part of a beam coming from the bottom of the screen. With that said, I wonder what's off camera casting this long, creepy shadow. Our next entry reunites us with Dark Ghost, a Russian paranormal investigator who has encountered some truly terrifying entities. However, this latest video quite possibly takes the cake in what he himself describes as the scariest house he has investigated. An email with coordinates brought Dark Ghost to the location in question. According to the message's text, the girl who sent it claimed an elderly couple once resided there and experienced countless disturbing occurrences, mainly from the home's basement. Among them were unexplained noises, including full conversations and something attempting to open the basement from below. After the couple passed, the home was inherited by their relatives. However, they refused to move in, and the home has been abandoned ever since. Dark Ghost's investigation starts off quiet, and he states he hasn't experienced anything, and it is already reaching 11:30 p.m. He then proceeds to set up stationary cameras, and that is when the activity starts. Not long after he leaves the room, the static cam witnesses a glass move on its own, sliding close to the edge of the shelf it is on. None of the other glasses are disturbed, and it wasn't knocked by anything, as it wouldn't slide in such a manner if it were. It is almost as if something is either pushing or pulling it. It is then tipped off the edge and breaks. Dark Ghost was in the middle of explaining to his camera what he did when he heard the glass break, and that's when things get really crazy.
Сейчас чуть попозже еще посмотрим.
Without warning, the entire house begins to aggressively shake, enough to send bricks collapsing from the ceiling. This lasts only a few seconds before ending just as suddenly. Dark Ghost, well stunned, thankfully is uninjured and moves in to assess the damage. As he is inspecting the kitchen, where the static camera is, he is startled by what sounds like a floorboard being pushed up, followed by several loud bangs from the other room. They sound either like a fist pounding against a wall or floor, or very heavy footsteps, but it is difficult to tell. Inspired by what has happened, Dark Ghost decides to start an EVP session in an attempt to communicate with whatever is there.
Кто вы?
He starts by asking if anyone from the spirit world is present, and despite receiving no immediate answer, eventually the device comes back with "help us." He continues to press for the entity to identify itself, and soon after it responds with, "We've been trapped." When asked where, it responds, "He trapped us down here." Earlier, when Dark Ghost heard the floorboard move, it has been covered in rubble. It again requests help and asks Dark Ghost to open the basement. However, 30 seconds after this request, something else appears to come through and say, "Don't open it," followed by, "They're lying." Clearly, there are multiple spirits communicating, each with contradicting requests. After several more requests to open the basement, an entity replies with a chilling phrase, "I will deliberately eat your heart."
Я сейчас, друзья, специально...
By now, it is clear one of the entities there has malicious intent against Dark Ghost, and while he initially states he will not open the basement, and receiving some talk back as a result, curiously gets the better of him and he decides to lift the floorboard and venture down. At first, he attempts to use an RC car fitted with a camera, but unfortunately the camera battery dies. Despite his better judgment, he ventures down himself. After a few minutes of crawling without incident, he stumbles across a small bone in the dirt. As he takes a closer look, a sudden noise as if something hitting metal can be heard in front of him. At the same moment on his static camera, left a hole to the basement, a shadow figure can be seen against the cupboards in the kitchen. As it vanishes, he emerges and claims to have heard hissing from below. As he is working to get the boards back in place, a very loud hiss sends him rushing out of the hole. This proves to be all he can take, and all for his safety, he returns the board to the floor and decides to leave it for the night. Something in the home clearly wants out, and to cause harm, but one must wonder who the other poor soul trapped with it is, willing to warn others not to fall for the lies the other spirit says. Haunting Jersey uploaded a YouTube video of a girl performing various different gymnastics exercises in her kitchen, along with a friend of hers via a Skype or FaceTime call. The two perform one move, complementing each other, then move on to the next, but what started off as a fun and innocent way to pass the time quickly turns into something frightening. Did you guys see that? So it's right here beside the blender. Yes, right here, this object. It's a paper towel holder, I believe. And obviously terrifies this poor girl here.
What was that? Obviously you were here. Yeah, that was loud. What was it?
And it gets the attention of even the person that she's on FaceTime with.
The paper towel holder just now. Whatever, it's fine. Okay, anyway.
And right as soon as she's back to just brush it off as, you know, whatever, don't know what happened, don't care, this thing right over here falls to the ground and just shatters absolutely everywhere. And I feel like if these were both on strings, wouldn't the paper towel holder have knocked that off at the same time? Because both the strings would kind of need to be in the same area. Understandably scared because she just saw something go flying across the room, the girl proceeds to ask her friend if they saw it too, to which they respond, saying that they did, and they mention it sounded loud as well. Amazingly though, the girl is actually able to shake it off any sort of fears she may have had by saying everything is fine, and she continues on with more exercises. But when it happens for a second time, she immediately runs for the camera and turns it off. Hopefully this was the first and last time this happened to this poor girl, and hopefully if it did persist, they got out of this house. Saulo Brenner claims to have caught a ghost on camera at an abandoned cemetery somewhere in Brazil. Across the street is a shadow figure caught moving on tape. It looks pretty decent until you zoom in and see the ghost sighting is most likely a blur effect or a camera glitch. The date and time look messed up too, further evidence that the CCTV video has been edited and not paranormal. What do you see around this corner? Published by Arte Morbid and originally posted on TikTok by Haunted Wesley E. Manor. This short clip is just one more proof that the manor is truly haunted. In a very dusty chamber of the castle, watch the corner of the arched doorway closely. What appears to be the figure of a small boy with glowing eyes peeks out for a moment before pulling back behind the barricade. He seems to be hiding. Is this a ghost? Or some small kid playing tricks in the castle? Most in the comments think it doesn't look human and call it very creepy. What do you think? I think we are going to be left with more questions than answers for the time being. This video appears to show a vampire feasting on someone in the middle of a dirt road in the dark of night. The footage is recorded from the back seat of a vehicle as some men come across a body dressed in white and lying unmoving across the road. One of the men gets up to check on the body and the camera drops to the floor. When it returns to the road, the man's body is lying there instead, while the red-haired creature pulls up from her feast and starts creeping towards the car. What do you make of this video? Is it real or fake? I'm leaning towards the latter. This video was streamed live during the 2014 tsunami in Japan. While this man records the rushing waters wash away his neighborhood, he sees what could be a strange creature briefly climb a building and disappear. Watch again in slow motion and tell me if you see the white creature. I personally think that it could just be a wave, but I'm not sure. Look closely and you'll see how the wave suddenly seems to change course in midair and go onto a roof instead. I know that tsunamis have a tremendous amount of force, so maybe this is just what happens when a strong wave hits. On the other hand, the person who recorded this video swears that it was a well-camouflaged creature. I'd like to know if you think he is right. Mr. Biggs is a giant iguana who is not behaving normally. He hardly recognizes his owner upon entering his room. And yes, Mr. Biggs does happen to have his own room.
See, there he is. He tried to bite me.
The large lizard fits a single finger squarely in his mouth and clamps down, but a closer look reveals it's actually just an empty glove at the end of a ruler. As it turns out, Mr. Biggs was just hungry and not trying to take over. He might have even mistaken the glove for a big hunk of lettuce. Look at him here at 3 minutes and 7 seconds. You would never have expected this could be the same Mr. Biggs as before.
Yeah, he doesn't even care. Can wrangle him up.
At a once bustling market turned ghost town in China, this lone figure was captured on camera. Published by Paranormal Planet in February of 2020, the video shows a mysterious fog shadow moving into view. As Chinese lanterns hang all around, swaying with the wind, the figure moves across the walkway before it disappears from sight. The uploader writes, "This footage was spotted by the person responsible for monitoring the street cameras. Is this a ghost? Or has the Grim Reaper come for us all?" A YouTuber named Rifat claims that going to this haunted place in Palestine proved to be a psychological undoing. Let's see what was so scary in this paranormal exploration gone wrong. He seems to have trouble keeping his balance and stumbles backwards twice for no reason.
يا شباب بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يا شباب قلت أجرب الله يقطع شر يوم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
At this point, I think he realizes there's no way he should be falling 3 times in 5 minutes and thinks a ghost could be near, as he is trying to decide if this is really happening or just his imagination. Some of the best paranormal EVP evidence ever recorded is caught on camera.
هذه قصة وأنا والله العظيم خايف يعني ممنوع في الليل عن جد ممنوع يعني نطلع هيك كمان هيك إيش هاد؟
Loud and scary screaming noises are coming from the woods. The screams of a human, most certainly not an animal.
يعني من وين أطلع؟
He doesn't investigate the noise because this could be a spirit setting up a trap that he is too smart to fall for. I'm glad he didn't go any further. If he had gone any deeper into the forest to see what it was, then this scary video might not ever have been uploaded. I have a feeling that he narrowly avoided getting ambushed by some group of bandits or even something paranormal. A Reddit user named Ponzi Flauns hears something outside of his home that leaves him too afraid to move. Listen to this part and tell me if you hear a creepy woman's voice carrying a twisted tune. The haunting melody repeats over and over again, growing louder each time. There's no way that this is an animal. One person commented that this sounds like it could be an opera, and I can't say that they're wrong. Listen again.
Like, what is that?
Then you hear what sounds to me like a cry for help, and the singing never returns. If I lived in that house, I would be immediately locking all the doors and windows. Thank you so much for getting me to 50,000 subscribers here on my Clips channel. If you want to support, please press that subscribe button. Let's get to 60,000 subscribers next. Thank you.